like especially earlier industry, being a BIPOC designer, feeling pressured to be placed into a box. And I think
Hmm.
that also comes with a lens of like being multidisciplinary. So it was this like othering feeling for like multiple layers of like the spectrum of what that means.
Hmm.
And then um, I think moving through that, what has helped has been carving out a place for others to thrive. Um,
Welcome to I Am Bored, AIGA's podcast where we discuss everything going on in the world of our current and former board members. I'm Nabi Bilal, the communications director for AIGA DC, and today I'm joined by Natalia Celine Arias. Hey Natalia, how are
Thank
you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'm glad that we can have you. You've led an exciting AIGA DC career in addition to everything you do outside of it. So I'm excited for people to get to know more about you. And in that regard, for those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself formally and also your role with AIGA DC?
Absolutely. So I'm Natalia Celine Arias. I'm a Belizean Cuban American multidisciplinary designer based in Baltimore, but I'm originally from Miami, Florida. So that really encapsulates so much of what I do. And with AIJDC, I am the creative community advocate. But in the past, I've served as a co-programming director as well as the mentorship chair.
And what led you to join AIGA DC?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say honestly, my board career has now spanned 3 years, but I think at first, and just moving to the area, being a transplant in the DMV area in general, led me to joining AIJDC as a member and then transitioning to the board. Really all about design community, really all about um, connecting others, providing those networking opportunities, um, all for inclusive design community here. So have always found that really important, have loved being involved. Very early on, Create-a-thon was one of my like favorite events, participated in it virtually, in person, probably about 3 times. The last time I actually was a team lead, so I got to lead a team, which was amazing.
Awesome.
All those experiences really led me to just get really excited about board service.
Yeah, and I remember your presentation from the last Create-a-thon that you did as a team lead. I think it
Mhm.
was the first time I actually like attended Create-a-thon, and I think it may have been the first year that it was at Steampunk, which was a really great venue. So yeah, I was excited when you were joining the board because I knew from what I had seen there that you were really like dedicated to like design and very detail oriented, and you just kind of had a vibe about you that was like, yeah, I do this. So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
very cool. And then another thing too, I don't want to gloss over this before the I go to the next question, but your current role, did that exist prior to you having the role, or is this a new role for the chapter? Because, I find that I, sometimes I feel like we're at a point where we're expanding what it means to be a board member and identifying places where we can be effective in the community.
Absolutely. So it is a brand new role that'll exist under the operations team moving forward. And so it'll be a mix of not only membership, volunteers, but really bringing and connecting people to the organization and to each other. And so it's really to demystify board service, demystify
Hmm.
what member is all about, making AIJDC feel approachable overall. Like
Yeah.
some people when they book calls with me, I pretty much have 15 to 20-minute virtual calls every week with folks who are interested.
Hmm.
Reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram, or even just the Talk to Us AIJDC email. So in those calls, people are a little nervous, but by the end, it's this role's kind of goal to make people excited to, attend the next event, come out,
Yeah.
Design Week, be a part of the initiatives. And I
Wow.
think
Yeah.
I would say also at first, I think Shine really pushed me to, I mean, I was mentoring before that, but I think not only leading Shine, but being a part of Shine the year prior to that, uh, really pushed me or kind of thrusted me into this like newer space. Um,
Hmm.
I think people from that cohort to this day are still excited to be involved. We have some long-term folks who from that Shine cohort still attend create-a-thons, still attend more events and spread it to others, which is really exciting. So
Yeah, for sure. And I know as of right now, um, the board is in a recruitment period. So do you find that whoever may be filling this role that you started, that you've got a pretty clear picture of, some of the baseline things that should be done, or is it still, an ever evolving role in your mind?
yeah, I mean, what's interesting about that since, going from chair to co-programming director to this role, I think everyone will bring something unique to their board position once they
Yeah.
kind of, you know, step into it. I think with this role, along with recruitment is also a big part of this role. So that excitement around bringing in new talent, kind of parsing through talent and applications and like having that sort of mind to things as well is important for this role too. But I'd say it is ever evolving, but there's like key pillars within it.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. So what type of work do you do outside of AIGA DC?
Yeah, so outside of it, my 9 to 5 is a creative lead at Ghost Note Agency. So all brand marketing and strategy related. Um, I love storytelling and narrative, and of course, being immersed in community. So all those not only light up my brain, but they get like the checked box,
Hmm.
getting to work at Ghost Note. Um, then outside of Ghost Note, other than just again personally mentoring out in like the design community in Baltimore and DC, and kind of the wider like virtual net. Um, I love, I used to do more like sound art and illustration. And after this most recent move that I had, I'm looking to dive back more into that realm as well. But
Nice.
primarily my graphic design practice is multidisciplinary in the sense that I'll combine design, traditional fine art techniques, and like photography together. Um, a lot is related to personal archive and family history of Belize and Cuba. So
Hmm.
that is where my last kind of realm of work was really heavily like subject and focused on there. And but recently I took a class, probably in the last like 6 months or so. I did risograph printing for the first time, and I'd always wanted to try it and I absolutely loved it. And I think that's maybe like the future of my practice. I had done printmaking
Very cool.
that before, but I'm very, very interested in um, not only the texture and color that Riso can achieve, but I've been looking more into, I would say like film has been like a big
Hmm.
like first love of mine. Like I love the moving image. I think it's one of the highest forms of art. And so trying to combine maybe like Riso with animation or stop motion or that's like where my
Interesting.
head's been
Yeah.
at, and I just need the time to like
Yeah,
execute.
yeah. I would say spoken like a true illustrator. I find that illustration lifers are people who kind of realize that the medium dictates the way the story is told. Like depending on how the story that needs to be told, you might texture it a little more. It might be smoother, it might not be, you know. Um, so yeah, those are definitely like hitting my illustrator triggers. Um,
I love it. And I
was
would I would actually agree with that too. Like I think with me it's I think about the story I want to tell and then the medium will come to me.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think like it's and then if I don't know it, I'll learn it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, yeah, when I used to do music videos, I would always try different styles based on how the song sounded. And sometimes it was just for the sheer fact, I wanted to try, rotoscope for this, and let's just see how that goes. So, yeah, I love the exploration part. And was the risograph the event that had just come up in February 14th for AIGA, or was that a different
Oh,
altogether?
it wasn't. I took a class at Baltimore Print Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I unfortunately missed our AIGA DC event from being sick, but yeah, if it runs back in the future, totally
Yeah,
worth.
yeah. We may have to run it back then.
Yeah.
Um, so N with your 9 to 5, were you always at a 9 to 5? Have you done freelance prior to that, or has that been your path kind of through the agency route?
Yeah, so not actually not really agency. This has been my longest agency stint besides like a month or so freelancing with an agency and then one of my first roles at a Miami agency called Lemon Yellow. I was
Hmm.
there for 3 months, very early career. But I've been mainly in-house for my career and have on and like pretty much maintained a 9 to 5, then on
Hmm.
the side is freelance and other
Right.
other opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
So kind of worked like 2 or 3 jobs.
No, I totally understand that one. Yeah,
Definitely the multiple hats kind of person.
yeah, I get it. And you find that if that's your deal, that's just your deal. Like you just can't do one thing. It's like something's
Mhm.
always going to pique your interest and you gotta go explore that. Um, so with that said, what are some triumphs and maybe even some hidden challenges that have come with your experience as you've kind of moved up the ladder through different houses and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like especially earlier industry, being a BIPOC designer, feeling pressured to be placed into a box. And I think
Hmm.
that also comes with a lens of like being multidisciplinary. So it was this like othering feeling for like multiple layers of like the spectrum of what that means.
Hmm.
And then um, I think moving through that, what has helped has been carving out a place for others to thrive. I think at my last role, especially, um, I worked for an ed tech nonprofit called Ithaca, where our most popular service is JSTOR. I
Oh,
got
I know JSTOR.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like in deep in like all the great archival material and brand designing and but I also got to run an internship program. Built the program with my lead, totally got to hire, run, and recruit emerging talent. And so with the internship program, eventually got to also add on junior designers. And
Nice.
these folks were all typically underrepresented backgrounds, non-traditional pathways within design. So that was a very big, like in looking at applications, it wasn't like, even though like I am someone who has had like traditional like art school, training, let's say,
Hmm.
I don't think we're in a place um, that needs to be so heavily considered because there are so many barriers that we have to break down still for like access to design, access to underrepresented folks like coming into design itself. Like,
Right.
I don't know, I'm a big like no gatekeeping type of person. Um, and so actually, I mean, now my dear friend, colleague, definitely like absolutely lifelong friend and collaborator, NoHo Monarch. He got to join the team and is of Native Hawaiian descent. So it was also really interesting where we would collaborate on different materials for somewhere like JSTOR. And so,
Hmm.
like we're diving into our own personal histories. I'm in the archive looking for like Belizean and Cuban artifacts. He's in the archive
Yeah.
as well, looking for like in-depth Native Hawaiian like symbols and like it's something that can, and then of course just like the blossoming like creative relationship there. I think it's something that can't be unmatched when the folks you're speaking to are behind the design work.
Right, right.
At Ithaca, I was so fortunate to be able to build that and foster that, and then full kind of like 360, I guess. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm hoping I'm making that connection right. But basically, full circle with Ghost Note, because everyone's black and brown.
Hmm.
Like I just love, getting to show up as myself every day, like truly.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I think that's one of the I don't know. I guess maybe underappreciated parts of being in an agency that, there's a lot of representation or a lot of people who have maybe gone through similar situations to get to the point that they're at.
totally. And it's about perspective at the end of the day. And I think just, I'll also say, like, being in a place where that value is not seen as something to just kind of like pass off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think that is like so major to, like, I think that's also like a big, I guess maybe in the hidden challenge route, but if you're constantly fighting for, your value, or
Hmm.
whether it's self or value of design, or what have
Yeah.
that can weigh
Yeah.
really
No,
heavy.
totally. Totally. And that weight can weigh you down. Um,
Mm.
So, speaking of hidden things, what's something that might surprise people to learn about you? For example, like what might be one or two hidden talents that you have?
Sure, yeah. I guess I know I'm being interviewed right now, but I guess a hidden talent I have is interviewing, and I've interviewed Emma
I can
Stone
see
in
that.
the past.
Wow, how did that come about?
Yeah, funny enough, it was a pop sugar contest that I entered in college, but it was all received like super well. My application was all about like being an emerging artist, loving film. At the time, I growing up, I watched every like Emma Stone like
Hmm.
movie in existence. Um, so one thing led to another. I was flown out to San Francisco, got to interview her.
Wow.
It was like the Spider-Man tour at the time for the movie with Andrew Garfield. So um,
Oh, that's
uh,
really cool.
they also had me interview Mark Webb, the director at the time, and I was a super fan because he did like all the best like alternative music videos growing up. So like a lot of My Chemical Romance music videos.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just like thinking about like practical effects and set building and like all of it, all of it.
So, so you been interviewing people prior to that, or
I
were you just naturally like good at speaking with people?
I had not. I think I did surprisingly well in that interview. And funny enough, too, uh, it's like when, like, I don't know, art imitates life or whatever the phrase is. But at the time in school, I was in like a video, like TV, like mock assignment sort of thing, and I was
Mm,
nervous, and I chose not to interview like someone for the assignment. I was like, hey, like maybe I'll do this role. Like I'm good
yeah.
at being in front of camera, blah, blah. And then I went and did this Emma Stone thing, and my teacher saw it and was like, okay, you obviously get an A. Like,
Wow. I mean, yeah, how can you not get an A after that? I
right.
mean, so were you like were you super shocked when you got how did you get the notification that you were going to be interviewing them?
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of like a filmed video, grand reveal, like notified and set up that this was all happening over time. I was definitely shocked that I was chosen. Um, just being like, I definitely remember applying in like my dorm room, like 1 a.m., just like
Yeah.
maybe this is cool. But yeah, would never thought it would lead to that. But I attribute that to a lot. I think like after that, I had no problem. Like I definitely don't get nervous like anymore really being on camera. Like I think it was like a necessary kind of experience. Wild, but like necessary kind of experience.
Yeah.
Um
So is that interview online somewhere where like people can just type in your name
it
and Emma
is.
Stone and they'll find you?
Yes.
Okay. So that's homework for everybody out there watching this episode. Um, oh, okay, so let's dive into some deeper questions here. What's a book or a movie that has had a big impact on you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I still think about it like every month. I would say The Substance. Demi Moore's in it. Um, the way it explored identity, pressure, transformation, just expectations on women. Um, really, 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 really striking. I think Demi was snubbed for the
What year was this movie? I don't think I heard of this one.
um I want to say like 2024. It came out like 2024. Dennis
Hmm.
Quaid's also in it. Uh, the director, her name escapes me, but she's super influenced by like David Cronenberg and like other horror artists that it's very like body horror related as well. So like the practical effects and
Hmm.
everything in it is incredible. Um, but yeah, it just it makes you think a lot about how we present ourselves, how we're perceived. Aging is also like a major theme.
Anybody who should not check that one out.
Um, anyone who may be a little squeamish.
Okay. You never know. See, I'm more of I feel like I'm more adventurous with movies, even if it's not necessarily my vibe. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. I might not watch it ever again, or I might get to a point where I'm just like, I've had enough. But I'll take a chance on it. I know some people are like, if there's blood, if there's something, there's no chance you're gonna get them to watch it.
Hmm.
So you talked about the Emma Stone interview. Is there anything else in your life that you would say, has had a profound effect on you and your, where you are right now, the person you've developed into?
Yeah, I mean, I'd kind of just bring it back to like family, growing up in Miami, Florida,
Hmm.
also being a transplant to this area in general. Um, Miami is my home, but Baltimore has also become my new home.
Yeah.
And I think living here, learning the city, um, taking in the breath of the area, feeling super accepted. I would say like holistically and like a combination of those things. Um, and yeah, I always I credit just like moving up here a lot to so much of like my growth and um, career and really just going after what um like I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
I would also say, every time I come back home, which every year Miami is basically like a new city.
Is
Um,
it because of all the construction going on and more
yeah,
people kind of moving there?
a mix. I mean, with the pandemic, you had all the like New York transplants that came down. So,
Yeah. I was gonna
um,
say the New Yorkers. I didn't want to call them out there, but
mhm,
there they are.
totally, totally, totally. And I think, uh, yeah, I don't know. Like, I used to not get homesick, and now I kind of get homesick. But then when I'm home in Miami for too long, then I find myself missing Baltimore.
Wow.
So, or just, being in
Yeah.
DC, and my partner works in DC now, works as a head chef for a restaurant actually called Yulivo. So that just opened the last month, and
Oh,
uh,
nice. Which part of DC?
like Columbia Heights area.
Okay.
Yeah, not too far from Sunny's actually.
I have to keep that one in mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, please let me know if you go. All like elevated Italian. His
Oh,
take,
nice. Okay.
his take.
Yeah. I'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Yeah, and I think just, as not only like feeling very tethered here, and like, part of my heart will always be in Miami, part of my heart will always be in Baltimore in this area, like DMV
Yeah.
area. Um, but feeling like I really have roots after 10 years here feels good. Like I mean, I'm also always learning something new about the city, which I love. But I also think the access to go to other places.
Yeah,
You know, in 5 or 6 hours, we can be in Iceland right now from
true.
BWI or DCA. So I
Yeah,
think it's just such a unique spot.
yeah, definitely. Who's someone within the design or creative field that you admire?
Yeah, so I really admire Mindy Sue. Uh, Her work sits at the intersection of like research, design, storytelling, and it feels super expansive. And one of her books is called the Cyber Feminism Index. And so I love how she's able to document histories that might otherwise go overlooked.
Hmm.
Um, and it's something that is accessible, is meaningful. You can learn about it online or have the physical copy, just incredible. And then, I mean, it just kind of like lights up my brain with like partly like this archival sense, the preservation aspect of knowledge and shaping culture and
That's
um,
great. Yeah.
the nitty gritty of it all.
Yeah, I mean you know, it goes without saying, but like books, whether you're doing audiobooks, regular books, like the knowledge that you can get from someone else's perspective, someone else's research, that just expands your own horizons and makes you think differently about this design field is, it's still so incredible to me. So we'll definitely have to make sure that we put a link to that book in the video description. Um,
Yeah.
how many books do you read a year? Because I feel like you probably read a lot.
I wish I read more, to be honest. I'm trying to get back on my audiobook like tip, but
Yeah,
right now, not too much. But that was one of the last books I read.
yeah.
Mm.
Audiobooks are great. I've especially when you get into treating them like music, the same way you get into a groove with music, you can get into a groove with an audiobook. Um, but yeah, I probably
Completely.
shouldn't assume that because you're a busy creative and it's like, yeah, there's never enough time to read. It's just like, yeah, you just want to chill and
Yeah.
relax when you're not working. So
I
I get it.
admire, I guess, a second part to the admire creatives question. I admire the creatives that like they'll start at like 5 or 6 a.m. and they block off like the 3 hours to like there's those
Yeah.
like what is it like the 333 or like the 222 like the 2 hours reading 2 hours movement 2 hours you know what I mean like I definitely like I aspire
Yeah.
I'll say that I admire it and aspire to it. I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm right there with you. It's yeah, it's tough to commit to. I think I could probably do it for a month before I'd fall off.
yeah.
Um, who if okay, so obviously with AIGA DC we do events and things like that. Like who would be your dream guest for an event?
Yeah. I was thinking really, really hard about this question. I think like, so for DC Design Week, we had plated and it
Hmm.
was like local chefs and like full on food, design, culinary experience. And I honestly think it would be really, really cool to do like culinary artists that worked in restaurant or like Michelin level teams because um, DC has Michelin Guide and everything like that.
Yeah.
Uh, it'd be so cool to profile the creatives. I'll give that like broader word, creatives, culinary artists at Oyster. They're like
Hmm.
an all vegan, vegetarian, um, Michelin star spot in
Oh,
DC. But like all the design is fantastic. All the
they're a vegan spot called Oyster, so they don't serve oysters at all.
so they do. They have like a course with like one like oyster.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay. Gotcha.
yeah, yeah. Um, but primarily like all like vegan, plant-based.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool. I feel like yeah, DC Design Week is definitely like the arena to get really creative with how we present creatives and where creativity does its thing in the city.
totally, totally. And I think it's also like, I don't know, I think I'm craving that conversation around like design, food culture, service, hospitality. Like design is also a service industry in itself. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, like more of like that open dialogue, you know, whether it
That's
was
it. Yeah.
culinary artists and chefs, but also like designers and I don't know, like
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure designers can learn a
yeah.
thing or two from people in the culinary field and vice versa,
Hmm.
for sure. What are you most proud of during your time with AIGA DC?
Yes. So I would say making the Shine mentorship program finale back in person in 2024. Um, Previously, it was virtual due to the pandemic. That was my big goal as a mentorship chair. My first year on the board, I pulled it off, was so happy
Nice.
with it. Um, yeah, it was incredibly meaningful. I think it was also one of like the highlights of just like my like professional creative career.
Yeah.
Like earlier, like there's still, people that reach out either about it or want to talk about it or
Oh,
um,
that's awesome.
want to stay connected, come out to the event still. Um, yeah, just love like that lasting community vibe about it. And I think, I know, all the folks that are going to continue to lead Shine, that's like at the heart of it, which I love.
Yeah. So do you feel like, with you being able to do that and kind of make it in person, it was like, you know, kind of like, hey, a new beginning for this thing that, people will continue to kind of follow in this mold, in this template.
Completely, completely. And I think it also was at such a great moment after feeling so virtually siloed with the pandemic.
Hmm.
Thinking about the years of like 2020 to 2023, pretty
Yep.
much. Um, people were so eager. Of course, it happens where some people can't attend or they submit a recording or things like that. But I think people were so excited to
Yeah.
back in person, meet if they hadn't met their mentor yet, they definitely met them that day
Right.
in person. And I'll never forget too, during my year, I had the prompt a bit more open. So it was more of like, whether it was portfolio building, the design for good project, it's whatever you want to focus on. And
Hmm.
so there was someone who really wanted to improve their interviewing skills, public speaking, and they presented all about that, like their whole journey about that. And
Wow.
I love that about Shine, where it's like, you know, even if you didn't complete your design for good project, you still show the process. And even
Yeah.
that helps you for future, job opportunities, creative opportunities, what have you, because what do you do in an interview or even for a contract role? You're showcasing how you work to others. So I think like even just having that breakdown for folks is so helpful.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So how would you say, so you've had various roles as you've mentioned. So the question I usually ask is how has your role at AIGAD with AIGADC helped you grow either personally or professionally? But I would just say how has your experience with AIGA helped you grow um, professionally or personally?
Yeah. I mean, I think professionally and personally, communication, collaboration, strategic thinking, especially when it comes to events and
Hmm.
definitely time management. I said I was a planner before. I feel like I'm like a hyper planner now when it comes to like, okay, you want to do this thing? Well, let's work backwards. Like it's 3 months out. What's the budget? Like
Right, right.
um, and I think also I'd say personally, just like really feeling good about having like a lot of trust with the team. I feel like working together, collaborations being seamless. Um, Also, I loved like putting calls out for volunteers or events, just like even just gauging the interest, getting to interview folks who were, interested in giving back. Um, I've spent
Yeah.
a lot of time giving back, but I think that just comes from a lot of like empathetic nature, curiosity, and care. So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And how can people keep up with you? Website, Instagram, anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, so LinkedIn for sure, and website is nataliacarias.com, and Instagram is Natalia Celine Arias, and that will have links to other pages.
Okay, perfect. We'll make sure that we put that in the description. And I have to say, I mispronounced your last name earlier. I said Arias, so I wasn't sure if it was, so now I know it's Arias. Do people
Oh,
often like kind of confuse the two?
sometimes, but no reason to be. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no. I personally I grew up with three different pronunciations of my name and people are always like, "Am I
Yeah.
saying it right?" I'm just like, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, as long as it's not Natalie.
I was thinking about that too. I said people probably say Natalie a lot to her. Yeah.
Oh, all the time.
I think their eyes play tricks on their mouth. So it's just kind of like I know what my eyes see, but they probably say Natalie so much more often than they say Natalia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But okay, the fun part. Who would you nominate for the next I Am Bored episode? And before you answer,
Yeah.
this person could be somebody who you know has been on the board and is no longer a current member of the board. They
Mm-hmm.
can be a current board member, or you could do it based on a role. You'd like the next person who's in this particular role to be interviewed.
Cool, cool. I'd say Eden Patrick if she
Okay.
had
She's on the
been.
list.
He's on the list. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, for
Well, I
sure.
was just thinking, I mentioned DC Design Week, so
Yeah.
um
Well, you'll get your wish.
totally, totally.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna set that one up.
Mhm.
So yeah, we look forward to more I Am Bored episodes and talking with more board members. Anything that you want to impart on people before we end this interview?
Hmm. I'd say I always kind of like share this quote, but um as a designer, always fight for what you believe in.
I love that.
Hmm.
I love that.
Thank you, Nabi.
Thank you, Natalia. And I hope that even though you are rolling off the board, and we've been so happy to have you, I hope you stay bored one way or another. Um, Stay in touch, and I'm sure you'll continue to help with bringing the community together and just helping the community stay connected. So, thank you, Natalia Celine Arias. This has been I Am Bored, and we will see you all next time.